Hello everyone, welcome to NumPy course. So today's session we'll be learning about how we have to create a NumPy array using a numerical range. So remember that whenever we use this numerical range, we can create an array with some given specified numerical range. It provides some function to create an array. There is three function we call numpy dot arrange, then move to numpy dot your line space, and then numpy dot long space. So this three operation is used to create a numerical range or used to create by the help of numerical range and array, numpy array. Let's start with the first one, that is your numpy dot arrange. So basically is used to create an array by using their speeds values or spaced values over an interval. So it's work in a interval. Remember that arrange its work in the interval. How we have to go? We have to allow some parameter to create is it also follows some parameter like start, stop, step and d type. So step and d type. So it has a four parameters to follows that. So first one is start. Basically the start is a or its start is indicates the interval position. It start from the default value. It's always start from the default value of 0, then moves to the stop. This parameters is represent the value at which the interval will end, because tab is denoted as a end and each value it denote with a particular value. Now move to the step. This parameter represent the number which is interval value changes, like how many changes, how many step you have to go. So change depend upon the changes. D type means your data type, and it will follow your integer or it will be moving towards the floats or your string. So it's depend upon that it will be followed. This is how we are using numpy dot arrange. So take as the syntax how we have to use it in a code. So see, you can use numpy or np. When you import, you can use go with the alias name. So suppose we import it. So import numpy as np. Then we move to use this particular thing np dot arrange and continue with your start, stop, step, and then your d type. So this is how we have to use the arrange method to create a particular array. So now let's move to the next one, that is your line space. In this particular is used to create an array using a space size or step size. So you can call as this function is similar to arrange. It's a similar function to a arrange method, but there is a major difference is there, that is instead of step size it will be moving towards the interval using a number arguments. It's depend upon the arguments it's used it. Now it is also follow some parameter how that is follow, but here it follows the start and then you move to the stop, then num. I told you here it's use a num, then it's move to end point, and then it's go with the rarity step. So the first one, and then at last d type, because we have to give the type of the data to use this particular methods to create a particular array. So start, as I told you, it will be the first interval and by default it will be 0. Then stop, the same here, end, it is used for end method. Then comes to the num. Num is basically, remember that whenever you use this particular num is basically indicate the amount of evenly spaced samples. So I'll give this here. It is denoted amount of evenly spaced samples. So that is used for your num. Then move to your endpoint, it is used for the parameter true values. It's use a parameter for the true values wherever you want to indicate the stopping value. So whenever you want to stop, use the stopping value or stop the interval, mostly the interval, we used a endpoint. Now comes to RET step. This value is used for boolean value. So this is used for boolean value. Wherever you use this, you have to go with the consecutive numbers. So that particular time you use RET step parameter. Then comes to D type. It's the same as your data type, like int, float. And now comes to your syntax, how we have to use this particular thing. So we'll go with np dot line space. Now the parameters are not compulsory always to use all. You can use once or two. It's depend upon the requirement what you wanted. So we'll go with the parameter start, then stop, then num, then move to your end point, then your RET step, and then D type. So this will be the syntax for your line spreads. Let's move to the next one. Long space. Long space basically used to create an array using the number that are evenly separated on a log scale. Remember that it's a use a log space means it is used to create an array with evenly separated evenly separated on a log scale. That will follow with the log scale method. Now it is also follow some parameters as well as how we are calling for arrange and line space. It's also some follow some parameter like start, then stop, num, end point. We'll discuss one by one all the parameter base and then at last D type. So as start, we know that it will be the default value with the start and stop with the ending value. Now move to num. This parameter is used to indicate the number of values of the range. You can take as a range. Endpoint also we discuss. It will be for ending for the interval as I discussed in a line space. Now come to the base. That will be the important for the log space. Here we have to give the base value because we are using a log. So we have to give the base value, or you can call as log value here. Now move to D type, that is your data type, nothing but what you use integer or floats or etc. So whatever data types we are having, we can go with the D type. Now the syntax how we have to use, suppose we are taking is np dot log space and then moving towards start, stop, num, then comes to your endpoint, base and D type. So this is how you have to use your log space method to create a numerical range of our. So now you are clear with the theoretical way of creating a NumPy array using numerical range. Let's jump to the Jupyter notebook to understand how the practically will create or practically will use this three method to create a array.